Today will be a vlog in reference to my doctor's appointment here in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I am still driving, as you can see, and yeah, so let's see here. Hopefully y'all were able to see. I am here officially in Tennessee, and so okay, you guys, this is when my GPS came on extremely loud, and I just want to remind you to like, comment, and subscribe. And then I go into explaining that this may be one of my last appointments before the big procedure, or there may be one more appointment that I may have to go to for the dye test. So stay tuned. Before everything takes place, and I think there may be one other appointment that I may have to make in reference to getting everything done. So I'm excited, so stay tuned to see what's next. Later. Okay, you guys, I have made it. As you can see, I'm here and I am waiting to be called back. Please excuse my bags under my eyes. I had to leave the house at 7 this morning to get here, or around 7:15 to get here at 9 o'clock on time in Tennessee from Atlanta. You know, the traffic is terrible. But just checking in, letting you know that I am here. More updates to come. Bye. Okay, everyone, it's time for the details of my first appointment following my consultation that I had today. So again, this was my first official appointment outside of the initial consultation. And that consultation price was $300 if your insurance doesn't cover it. So I did go ahead and take notes so that I will not skip anything, to make sure that you know everything that took place, the price, and all the testings and so forth. So the first test that I took is called the 234 test. And this is a test that you have to take when you're on your cycle. I know it's so uncomfortable and something no one wants to do, but you have to do it while you're on your cycle. And with this 234 test, what they do is they give you a vaginal ultrasound, and they stick a probe inside of you, and they take a look at your cervix, make sure it looks okay. They also take a look at each ovary to see how many eggs you have at the time. I had 10 eggs in my left ovary, and I had 8 eggs in my right ovary. So he was like, that's really, really, really good. So that was a blessing in itself. I was happy to know that I carried a lot of eggs just for that month. The second test is called is a blood test. It's called the FSH test. It is a follicle stimulation hormone test. And this is one of the tests that tells, like, are you really fertile? Are you infertile? Pretty much it tells you as well if your eggs are good or not. There's another test called the estradiol test that I had to take, which is a blood test. I also took a test called the anti-malarium hormone test. So this again coincides with making sure that everything related to getting pregnant is fine with me. I had to take a genetic test to see if I was a carrier for anything, because, you know, when you're going through IUI, you want to know if you're a carrier for something. So you want to know what to look out for when you're picking a donor, because donors, they also go through genetic testing if they choose to, and they could be a carrier to something that if you were to get pregnant, your child could come out with some type of disability. So I opted to go ahead and get that genetic test, and it was only about $231 additional to my appointment that I had already set. You have to get an STD test for everything. And I mean AIDS, HIV, syphilis, gonorrhea, trichomonas, chlamydia, herpes 1, herpes 2. You have to get a CMV test, and the CMV test is pretty much if you've ever had chicken pox, if you've ever had a cold sore, and so forth. You can also be exposed to this virus by cat litter. A lot of people don't know that. I was one of the people that did not know that you could be exposed to this virus by cat litter. It's not something that harms you, you know, but like I said, if you've had chicken pox, cold sores, or anything in that sort, it can expose you to the CMV virus. They also have to test your thyroids and your vitamin D. The follicle count was probably the most important, just to know what I'm working with and if there will be any issues. The FSH and the AMH are very important as well, because you want to always know if you're fertile, if you're going to have issues, because the doctors, they really try to tell you what they recommend for you. Now, the doctor did not recommend IVF for me because, for one, I've never tried to get pregnant. I've never been pregnant, and I am a lesbian. So he was like, with you not having any pregnancies and never tried to get pregnant, you know, determined that you can't get pregnant, quote unquote, he was like, I wouldn't recommend any medicine for you. So I would like to take the IUI route with you. If that does not work after a few attempts, then we can look into the IVF and, you know, the medicine and things like that. The only medication that he offered was the egg stimulation, if I wanted to, where I would produce multiple eggs a month, which, as we see, I already do that, which is a great thing. It looks like the only test that I have left is the dye test. And the dye test is where they pretty much determine if you're allergic or have some type of reaction to iodine or some type of shellfish allergy. But other than that's really what the test was about. And he was just letting me know that how important getting that genetic test was, because if you're having a boy, they want to pay attention to one of the chromosomes on my genetic side and the donor's genetic side to make sure there is no abnormalities that could cause harm as a guarantee to me being pregnant or so forth. So that's why I did opt in to go ahead and get that genetic test. Now, I will say the appointment that I had today did come up to about $700, and that was with my 25% discount. Yes, $700 with a 25% off discount. The only test I did not do that day was the dye test, and they will be giving me all of my results sometimes this upcoming week of the estradiol, AMH, and the FSH test to tell me what are my next steps. It looks like from here, what I'll be doing is speaking with the doctor again and determining who will be my donor and when I'm going to have the sperm sent to them. The IUI process is really not that expensive, to be honest, but the things that you have to do to get to the process is what's costly. So even though the IUI is cheap, you have to think about everything outside of that. I'm paying everything out of pocket because my insurance does not cover it. So like I said, my first consultation was $300. This appointment was $700. And then I still have more stuff to go. And the sperm itself ranges from $600 to $800. And then the shipping of the sperm ranges from $215 to $300. So to get sperm, one vial is probably around $1,000, $800 at the least. Because if you get the $560 vial, which is less sperm, you still have to pay a minimum of $215 for shipping. So that's what, about $800, $560 plus $215 to $260. It just depends on which nitrogen tank that you get to freeze the sperm while they send it to you. So again, if you're looking for IUI, just know that you will have to do that 2, 3, 4 day testing where you do have to be on your menstrual cycle, and they will insert a vaginal ultrasound probe inside of you to look around to make sure your uterus is good, it's not tilted or so forth, and also check the eggs that you carry in each ovary. Now, if they say you have an uneven amount of eggs in each ovary, that's not anything to be alarmed about, just the FYI. Because like I said, I did have 10 in my left and 8 in my right. And he was like, that was really, really, really good. And again, I'm not on any medication, any egg stimulation medication. I just have that many for the month. And they can only tell this stuff while you're on your cycle. So these tests are very sensitive. You have to make sure that you call them as soon as your first day of full flow, and then they'll schedule you immediately within the 2, 3, or 4 day range to take that test. Other than that, when he advised me when purchasing sperm that I need to get IUI ready sperm, which means that it has already been washed. You do not want unwashed sperm because what it is unwashed sperm is when it's like regular ejaculation from the male, and it still has the non-heavy swimmers, I guess you would say, some that won't get to where it needs to be, not as strong with the pre-cum and so forth like that, all the other liquids that may be mixed in it. When they wash it, it's strictly the strong swimmers, and it helps you get pregnant quicker because it doesn't have all that other natural stuff that comes with the human body inside of it when it's completely washed. So most doctors recommend getting nothing but washed and ready sperm for IVF or IUI. Let's see. I'm trying to make sure that I have not skipped anything. Other than that, that's really all that we did for that day. It was more so all blood work. Everything else had to be done by blood, and then that one ultrasound. And that's really it for that appointment. Everything went really well. Everything looked really good. And he did tell me he didn't see any issues with me that he could see. So of course I'm happy to hear that. It's a blessing. With me living the lifestyle that I live, you know, that's one thing that we always wonder, dang, can I get pregnant? I never tried, you know? So I can say this is the first time that I actually had to question myself, like, sheesh, I've never lived a life to actually have the experience of knowing I tried to get pregnant, I couldn't get pregnant, and it didn't happen for me. So now those things have surfaced in my mind, but I've been trying to stay really positive and go off what the doctor is saying, that everything does look good for me. So right now, waiting on the blood work and make sure that my eggs, even though I have a lot of them, I need to make sure that they are strong eggs, and I'm fertile enough to go through the procedure, or if I need to be recommended for IVF. Hopefully not. Keep your fingers crossed for me, and I will too. So this is really the end of my video, you guys. So do not forget to subscribe to my channel for more updates. I am in the process of narrowing down my donors. I had 12. Now I'm down to 4. So by the time the process is here, I'll have it narrowed down to 1. If you want more content, or if you have any questions that you want me to answer, please comment down below. And again, make sure you subscribe and like this video. Thank you, guys.